Ah, so here we are, John. This is where it all happens.
This is the heart of it right here.
Very good. Well, I recognize these vats. These are actually a little smaller than the ones I've seen before.
Yeah.
For the large wineries, but exactly the same process, I'm guessing.
Yeah, this is, I mean, as far as equipment and the process, very much like wine, with a few differences. The real difference being what we start with. Of course, they, while they're stomping our grapes, we're robbing our hives.
So this
is the honey.
That is some beautiful honey.
Yeah. So you
pure, beautiful honey. And that's what you start with.
That's a lot thicker than a wine juice. So basically, this is 55 gallons of honey. Takes about 55 gallons of honey to make 250 gallons of mead.
So
it's diluted up with water, basically. We'll heat this up, pump it into the fermenter with a mixer going. And
so essentially the main difference then basic difference between mead and wine is that this is fermented honey instead of fermented grapes.
Exactly right.
That's the only real difference.
It's got to be honey to be mead.
The process is essentially the same. See, because I know a lot of people are under the misconception that what mead is first wine is made and then honey is added to wine.
No, not good mead, not real mead.
That's what I thought.
Some of the cheaper tourist things maybe. But.
And therein lay the problem, because I know for a fact that one of the problems for an artisan like yourself who's making such a fine product is that a lot of people are introduced to something like mead in a negative way. They're given something that isn't really mead. They're led to believe that that's what it is at some sort of medieval festival or something like that.
That happens.
Someone is selling wine with a dollop of honey in it or something, and they're passing that off as mead. It's very difficult for you to win those people back.
We have to re-educate them, really. I mean, you're right. They come in and they go, I've had mead. Some guys will come in, they'll come in with their wife's going to try it, and he says, no, I've had mead, I don't like it. And you got to say, well, try some real mead.
Right.
Because it really is a completely different animal.
And I'm sure it turns their head right around.
Yeah, the guys walk out here all the time thought they didn't like mead, or even thought they didn't like wine. That's the neat thing about mead. It sort of bridges.
Yeah, it doesn't have the same acidic.
It's right. Yeah, it's less acidic. And I have one of my best customers doesn't like any kind of wine. He walks out of here with a case of sourwood every 2 weeks.
There you go.
He's just.
Well, see, that's the thing.
Yeah.
So you start with this fabulous honey right here. So you're going to heat this just so it'll pour.
Right.
So it's not so viscous.
Exactly. Put a few heater bands around it.
Goes into the fermenter.
Yes. Pumps into the fermenter. Water.
And then the natural process begins.
That's true. Yeah. We adjust. We put a little bit of nutrient in for the yeast. We adjust the acid a little bit for the yeast again. Stir it up real well. Pitch a yeast culture, which we use a champagne yeast. You put your lid on, and 6 to 8 weeks later, all that honey's been fermented to alcohol. So very much like a wine. A little slower than a wine, but.
What about the aging of the wine itself, of the mead?
Depending on which product you're doing, like if you're going to oak one, it takes a little more aging. We also specialize again in the sparkling wines, the sparkling meads.
So you got time there.
You got time there because you're going to rebottle after that 6 to 8 weeks. You put it in the bottle with a new yeast culture, some more honey, and you let it lay entourage for 6 to 8 months. So that's about a year time.
Yeah, from the start.
Yeah.
About so a whole year before that's being
was
pop.
Exactly.
Yeah. Tell me how many gallons of wine you're producing in a year.
Our plan is to do about 7,500 gallons. We did about 3,500 our first year of production. So we're
and it's 5 bottles to the gallon.
Exactly. Right.
That's a considerable amount.
Yeah, we're not Corbel.
Nothing to be ashamed of. That's for sure.
But we want to keep it small because it's more of a passion for us. You know, we can do some nice blending with the honey, and it's not like you've got 50,000 gallons you're going to screw up. So
right. Small batches.
Yeah, you can sit there and drain a little out, try it, and go, yeah, let's add a little bit of this to that.
So tell us about your famous bottling parties here. When you got to bottle up the wine.
Well, it takes a little more labor than the 3 owners, so we try to get at least 5 people up here on bottling night. And basically, you're just going to hook a pump up to the bottom of the fermenter, pump it over to here to this 5-spout bottler. You get some friends who haven't been burnt out on the process yet, order a bunch of pizza and promise them all the mead they can have, and turn the music way up.
So it's a party.
Oh yeah, it is. It is a party. Some local folks came in, a young couple, and helped us one night. And by the end of the night, she was out there just dancing and everything. I guess we better back off on the meat a little bit here. Yeah, we have a good time.
As long as the bottles don't end up broken, that's the main thing.
Yeah, right.
Well, wonderful. Great setup you have here, John. I tell you, really nice, immaculately clean, of course, which it has to be.
Yeah,
in a sterile environment to do anything like this. Keeping it at the size it's at right now, with the 3 owners involved, this is still a passion for you. It's still fun. It's still nothing but fun, really.
Oh, it very much is. You know, you just get a bunch of friends together. It's kind of like homebrewing, really. We're still on the scale where you get together, you drink a little mead, and you get into the mysticism of it, you know, and it's just a lot of fun for us.
And at this stage, you're still able to do a lot of experimentation without losing huge batches at a time.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, you can do blending. You know, you have smaller batches. You can blend them together. We'll, set aside one we really like, and like that blackberry, and put a little oak on it, and we'll actually use it when we sweeten back one of the other meads. So you get everything's just on such a much smaller scale that you're not afraid to experiment.
Exactly.
And it's still fun because
that's one of the beauties of it, of course.
Without the experimentation, it's just not fun anymore.
Yeah.